Hello, welcome to High Vibe Astrology. This is Jennifer, back with a video on the Capricorn new moon drawn up for December 30th, 2024 at 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope everyone is enjoying the holiday season, and if you're new or returning, thank you so much for being here, for finding this channel, tuning in, and for supporting this community with positive energy. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you'll do so. Hit the like button and share these messages as you feel guided. The energy of this Capricorn new moon is a powerful initiation into setting up new structures for the way we do business, quote unquote, in the world. You can see we have stronger blue and harmonious lines than red and challenging ones. That's not to say that the challenging aspects aren't purposeful. They certainly are, because they stretch us into our growth and evolutionary purpose. But it's really nice to have a reprieve sometimes. Capricorn is all about mastery, becoming the boss, the executive in charge. And with Saturn as its ruler, what we're learning to master is our own energy and the fears that come up as a result of living in this 3D material world. When we look at the grid of these aspects, we can see that this new moon doesn't really have many challenges until we add Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith represents those shadow aspects of our life that have remained in darkness for fear of ever being fully felt and integrated consciously. Lilith represents the hidden, taboo, repressed aspects of our personality. It's square to this new moon, as basically the only challenge is like the universe saying, you only have one assignment. This is what you have to focus on and master, and you will not be complete until you do. The thing about this battle between light and shadow, conscious and unconscious, gets played out in the world as oppression in every conceivable way until we each come to terms with the parts of ourselves that we've been conditioned to deny. Unfortunately, this has resulted in the extreme behavior becoming the mainstream expression. It is the proverbial elephant in the room of societal behavior, because good people in the world have remained in denial of who they really are. Or if they see this aspect of themselves, they remain in fear. And that's what this Capricorn new moon is offering. This is the work that we have before us. If you think of centrifugal force, or imagine a lasso, a whip, or even a hurricane, there's always greater force on the outer edge that does the most damage. At the center, there's stillness and peace, and that's why we can never really attain the peace we want from the outside in. It has to be done from the inside out. There's too much outside of us to ever manage or control. It can't be done. We cannot change the world without changing our world first, our personal world. That's why divine presence has to be an inside job. Recognizing the Creator's presence in every cell of our being, in our DNA, is what activates the divine plan in our lives and sets it into motion that reverberates out into the world, into the collective. And this peace will surpass all understanding. No matter how much chaos there has been or is currently occurring in our world, nothing disturbs what quantum healers call the 0 point. To me, it's describing Taoism, that neutral place within, where two extremes are brought back into unity in the center. The way of the Tao is the Zen way. Nothing can disturb your balance and peace unless you give it permission, unless you give it that power and attention. So, how does that apply to this Capricorn new moon? Ruled by Saturn, the ancient planet that once defined the outer reaches of our solar system, must now come to terms with the fact that it is ancient history. These are ancient boundaries. It's an old paradigm. The outer planets such as Uranus, Neptune, Chiron, Pluto, Sedna, and all the KBOs that were discovered after Sedna are breaking wide open the fact that we are not alone. More importantly, the infinite life forms in the universes beyond are for the Creator to manage. We can't control what's out there. We can only manage the infinite space within our own being and our own personal connection to the Creator. The way of the Tao is never caught up in extremes. When you're on the outer edge of that chaos, you are constantly bombarded by extreme forces that are beyond your control. The way of the Tao is the inner way, the narrow gate that very few find or understand how to navigate. It requires reconciliation between the earthly part of us, represented by Saturn, and the immortal likeness gifted to us by the Creator. Insofar as the Capricorn new moon and the fact that Lilith is conjunct the Libra South node, forming a square, of course, to this new moon, tells us that these issues must be reconciled within us now. This is the homework, basically. Capricorn is the boss, the CEO, the person in charge, and the Libra South node with Lilith is an energy of playing it safe in the crowd, never wanting to offend anyone, by actually being ourselves. We shy away from expressing those aspects that we perceive society would never accept. Our job, therefore, is to call them into the center. It's only when we refuse to accept ourselves that the shadow aspects leap out, take us by surprise, and those around us. And this is what we see happening in the collective. Our job, therefore, is to integrate with unconditional love those very shadow tendencies so that we become the boss of our own energy and essence, and the shadow ceases to be in control. It's true that what we resist absolutely persists and looms larger like the proverbial elephant in the room until we acknowledge and consciously integrate these aspects. Where the collective is concerned, I wanted to talk about some really impactful aspects between this Capricorn new moon and the United States chart. I already mentioned Saturn, which is the ruler of the Capricorn new moon, and Saturn represents time in the old paradigm. It's known as the father of time, and its rings symbolize limitation. Time is limited. Life has a deadline. Chronological time dictates when certain landmark events in our life should take place. But as we evolve further and further into this new paradigm, we are realizing just how fluid time really is. And this truth is profoundly seen as we look at the current sky, juxtapose the USA's Sibley chart. Many things in the USA's chart are being activated. For now, I want to emphasize Saturn conjunct the United States Sedna. And as it forms this conjunction to the USA's Sedna, it also is in a powerful quincunx to the United States Saturn at 14 degrees of Libra. And that Saturn is receiving a square right now from this Capricorn new moon, and I'll get back to that. But in this chart, transiting Saturn forms a quincunx to the United States Saturn and a conjunction to USA's Sedna. A while ago, I did a video called The Dance of Saturn and Sedna, revealing certain parallels regarding the old world and the new world, specifically within the context of time. The link for that video is below for those of you who are interested. But even as we look at the symbols for Saturn and Sedna, they are very similar. Saturn represents our old relationship to time as a strict, unbending, unrelenting, and linear force of nature. Sedna's perspective on time is very fluid, otherworldly, and reveals the power we never knew we had to bend and flow with time in ways that support greater life, love, and abundance. Where Saturn's message says, "My external forces dictate your life," Sedna's message says, "Go within and remember your natural connection to the Creator. The world of our Creator is infinite." Saturn imposes responsibility from external authority bearing down upon us. Sedna encourages and compels us from within to connect with the spiritual responsibility we receive from our internal connection to the divine. Saturn says you have limited time, and Sedna says you are timeless. The image that's coming to me with this is the iceberg. Appropriate since Sedna is the immortal Arctic sea woman. But Saturn and its rings represent the rim of the water around the visible part, the tip of the iceberg. Saturn would have us believe that there's nothing more to see here. This describes Saturn in Libra in the United States chart because the low vibe of Libra is being overly concerned with appearances, with what is in the tangible world, keeping the unconscious at bay. Unfortunately, this is why dark forces have been able to get away with so much, because we are conditioned to only believe what we can see, feel, hear, taste, and touch in the tangible reality. But the current sky with this Capricorn new moon is activating the USA's Saturn and its quincunx to Sedna in Pisces. Saturn's tangible energy is being dissolved, and as it unites with Sedna, Sedna's presence in our consciousness is now dissolving those rings of Saturn and allowing us to see through the surface into this deep and mysterious ocean to realize the reality of the rest of the picture, the rest of the proverbial iceberg. It's been underwater the whole time, we just couldn't see it. We may have been intuitively aware of this multidimensional reality, but had never seen evidence of it until recent events and the bleed through of this intangible, mysterious world and sci-fi world into our physical reality. The freedom Sedna brings is that of busting through the false matrix and coming to understand the power that lies within us as we align with our authentic, galactic spiritual nature and origin. It's not the freedom granted to criminals to disrespect life and run roughshod over the Creator's life force energy. The closer we align with Divine Creator, the more we respect our own life and the lives of others. It is a natural occurrence and phenomenon that doesn't require complicated legislation. We don't have to rule over other people when people are aligned with Divine Creator. So now let's look at some other aspects. Mars at 2 degrees of Leo is energizing the USA's North Node and forming a trine to the current sky's Aries North Node. The nodes themselves conjunct the USA's Midheaven and IC, having to do with domestic affairs here at home, the 4th house, and also our reputation in the world, the 10th house. South Node on the Midheaven is literally the past's unhealthy patterns coming home to roost. They are on display now for all to see, and our destiny, the North Node on the 4th house cusp, compels us to focus on domestic affairs, clean up our house, so that we can protect our homeland and everyone who lives here. When the nodes shift on January 11 into Pisces and Virgo, and we have the Pisces North Node conjunct Neptune, for me this represents a spiritual wake-up call for humanity. And with the Virgo South Node representing the old ways in which we've dealt with health and healing, a lot of those trends are going to change out of necessity. But that's a different subject and a different video for another day. Getting back to the Capricorn new moon, this is forming a square, as I said, to the USA's Saturn, signifying that it's time to face the music insofar as our reality changing. Venus is softening the USA's moon, and in Aquarius, it's attracting attention into the world of ufology, all things futuristic, sci-fi, and space-related, not to mention humanity's evolution. Transiting Mercury in the 1st house is bringing communication, media, commerce, education, and broadcasting to the forefront of our lives and our attention. And the USA's Mercury retrograde in the 8th house of its chart intensifies research and investigations. With USA's Mercury retrograde and transiting Mars now retrograde, impacting our 8th house, we're talking about topics and issues that have remained dormant, been on the back burner for a very long time, that are now being revisited, re-researched, brought out into the public through the many and varied platforms and media. When Mars stations direct in March, I imagine that many things are going to break wide open even more than they currently are. and will become more exposed. The 8th house is the domain of sexuality, and we've been hearing for a while now the allegations of certain celebrities and politicians who treat sexuality as a commodity, with violence, blackmail, manipulation, and control. These criminal acts are exactly what has undermined and destroyed the innocence and purity of children all over the world, and the decency and dignity of adults who were caught up in this criminal system and violated in this way. Human lives and sexual expression are not commodities to be traded on any market, legal or illegal. They are expressions of sacred life force energy. Mess with a creator and you're going to lose every time. These Mengele-style masters of deception and diabolical scientific experimentations on humans, animals, and other life forms are about to receive their karma. And that's good news for humanity, even though there are still those who can't quite believe it has ever happened or that it is happening. It will be revealed in time because it has to be in order for us to heal our planet. As always, there's so much more that we could talk about where astrology is concerned, but I'm going to leave it here for now. I'm wishing all of you a safe and happy new year. And please stay tuned for the frequencies, and I look forward to being with you next time. Bye for now.